Welcome back to another episode of Love Living Local 315. We are your hosts, Scott and Kelly Greats, and today we are bringing you a very special guest. He is the head coach of the UCFC, Utica City Football Club, Hewerton Moreira. And Hewerton is a Brazilian native. He moved to the U.S. in 2004, and 20 years later, he is proudly our head coach of the City Soccer Club, the football club. So a lot of great stories, a lot of high energy, a lot to be excited about when it comes to Utica City soccer this year. And we're excited to have the coach join us and you be a part of this season with him. So it's funny to say that it's soccer season as we get into the winter here in central New York, but it is soccer season. UCFC, the season's upon us. We have Coach Hewerton Moreira. Is that good?
Yeah,
Moreira?
You got it. Yes,
I can't roll my R's.
Neither can I.
It's all good. It's all good.
Welcome.
I've been in the United States for a while, and people to pronounce my name is never correct.
Yeah.
It's all right. I don't mind at all.
There's certain things that you could take offense to, but I guess this isn't one of them, right?
No, it's all good. It's all good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we were talking a little bit about travel. So Utica becomes home for you what months?
Pretty much in November.
Okay.
November to April, May. And then I go back and forth between Chicago and Utica. Uh-huh. I come back for, during the summer, I come back for summer camps, some other events that we have. Yeah. But then I go back and forth between Chicago and Utica.
Okay. Is this a full-time gig?
It is.
It is. Okay.
It is a full-time gig, yes.
So a 12-month contract?
Yes, it is.
Okay. All right.
Is.
How big of a hand do you have in, I know there's a team GM, but recruiting, player development, are you a part of that process as well?
Yes. I'm part of the process. When I came to Utica, I asked for that specific role as well.
Okay.
When I was coaching in St. Louis, I was a GM, also a head coach. Here, Tommy Tanner, he's a GM and part owner, but we actually work really well together. Things that he likes, I like. Things that I dislike, he like. We have some arguments, which is great, like for the team's sake. But when I came here, they gave me the benefit of the last word, on players, for example, just to build the team. And I think that's important as a head coach. You want to work with players that have somewhat your profile. So, have the autonomy of creating the team, I think is very important. And they gave that to me, which was fantastic. These first 2 years with them, I believe worked well in terms of progression. So I've been happy with that.
Let's go back to the beginning of your soccer career in the United States. You're a native of Santos, Brazil.
Yes.
And you came here in 2004.
That's right.
What made you want to move to the U.S. for indoor soccer?
I didn't want to. I was in Brazil at the time. I was playing futsal in Brazil. I just stopped play outdoor soccer. That is a big problem in Brazil. It's still to this day. It's like sometimes when you sign a contract with a professional team, you never know if you're gonna get your salary paid on time. Mm. And that happened to me 2 years in a row. I was playing professionally outdoor. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to go back to play futsal and I'm going to go back to my city. Mm-hmm. I lived by the beach, like my house was 3 blocks from the beach. So
that sounds really nice.
It was not a hard decision, to make. I end up going back to my city to play futsal. I was being paid as well. It wasn't professional in the terms of people only did that for a living in the team that I was. But I'm also a physical educator and a sports science degree. So I was, I had personal training clients. I was teaching spinning class as well and living by the beach. So a coach from San Diego at the time went to Brazil to get some players, to scout players. And he had to create an indoor soccer game because with boards, we did not have that in Brazil.
Yep.
So someone came to me and I was like, hey, that is one more practice, in São Paulo. Why don't you go and train with them? I was like, I'm fine. No, it's all right. And then this friend of mine, he was the one that got called. He got, best in the world a couple of times, like in futsal. So they were envisioning more a player like him to play, and he couldn't go. So he asked me to go, and I went. And one of this practice that I scored 7 goals or whatever the case may be. And they go, hey, you want to go back to San Diego? And I was like, I don't know, man. You know, I'm having pretty well here. So I might stay, you know. And he's like, bro, but it's San Diego. So I started to take a look in San Diego, and it looked very similar to Brazil. Can I see? And I was like, well, actually, I will come. So I end up coming to San Diego in 2004, but it wasn't something that I planned or anything. It actually happened.
Okay.
The best stories go that way, right? And I'm thinking to myself, right? So we're sitting in Utica, but here you are 3 blocks from the ocean in Brazil, and then you come to America and you go to San Diego, right? And then somehow you end up in Utica.
Oh,
right?
no.
I mean,
it was worse than that.
Different, right?
Oh, no. It got worse than that. It got worse than that. So San Diego, I got in San Diego in September, which it's great weather. You know, like practice was outside. Like they had an indoor facility when it was outside. It was beautiful. And season started, and 3 months later, the team folded. You know, that was the old owner of San Diego. San Diego now have a new owner, very established, very professional organization, great owner now. But at the time, the owner, there was some problems with him. I don't know what it was. Kind of do. And you end up having a dispersal draft, right? I'm talking about January.
Mm-hmm.
So the one owner previous to that owner said, you know what, I'm going to help the players to wait for the draft. So he helped us to move to apartments, to wait for the draft, which was very great from this previous owner. And the draft happened, and I ended up in Milwaukee.
In January.
Yeah. So, you know, coming here in January after a snowstorm. I never saw a snow in my life at the time. Like, and I was one day on the beach, like running, you know, the next day I was with snow on my knee. I was like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. And
the head coach at the time picked me up for the airport. I barely spoke English, like really bad. And I was like, oh my God, this is my first time seeing snow. And he's like, yeah? I was like, oh, I'll give you 2 weeks. You'll be sick of it.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So let's talk about terminology, because the sport of soccer, as we know it, right, is very confusing because it's football.
Yeah.
Right? Everywhere else except America. Is that accurate?
That's right.
And you're talking about futsal.
Yeah.
Which is a whole different version of soccer.
Correct.
So do you want to talk about what that is?
So futsal is the indoor soccer version in the world, right? So it's sanctioned by FIFA. The World Cup just happened in Uzbekistan.
Mm-hmm.
I could be wrong. No, it was Uzbekistan. And you know, the World Cup just happened, but it's the world version of indoor soccer. So it's 5-a-side, right? 4 players plus a goalkeeper. It's played on, I go by meters.
Yeah.
But it's a 40 meters by 20 meters. I'm not quite sure what would be that in feet. But it's longer than a basketball court and wider than a basketball court.
And it's a hard surface.
And it's a hardwood floor, or they had hardwood floor. They have some snap court as well, you know, but it's a hard surface. Mm-hmm. We have, you know, there is no walls. You know, so, you know, the ball goes out of bounds. The ball, it's not heavier, but it's a lower bounce than any other ball. So the ball is on the floor longer. So it helps with
control it.
It, you know, how the game gets like a very technical and physical as well, because the ball is constantly on the floor, right? So it's not headers or anything like that. The goalkeeper can only touch the ball with his feet 1 time per possession. So if the goalkeeper make a save and give it to you, you cannot pass back.
Okay.
However, if the goalkeeper go to the attacking half, he become a regular player. So defenders, for example, have to know how to get out of tough situation, right?
Yeah.
Which growing up in Brazil, which futsal, it's pretty much the sports for kids, for the youth. It helps to become a better soccer player. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Because again, having in mind, like you play in outdoor soccer and you're a defender, all you have to do is pretty much pass the goalkeeper or just kick it, right? Yeah. So you can defend. But in futsal, you can't do that. You're going to have to make sure that you can pass and move, you know, help with all the movement off the ball, all the cognitive work, how to think a little bit ahead of what you're going to be doing, your touch, how you're going to touch the ball, because it's going to have to be a little tighter touch, because if it's too far away from you, someone might come and steal it. Mm-hmm. So all that helped the youth soccer player to develop. And then when they're older in Brazil, then you can go either way. Outdoor or continue to futsal. Some kids, obviously they play both, but ultimately you're going to have to pick one or the other. So futsal, it's pretty much the indoor soccer version of the world.
Indoor, yeah. Small field is so important.
Yeah,
like when you coach children or even bigger kids, to play on a small field, you have to be so much more precise with your passing, quicker with your passing. Yeah.
Yeah, thinking moves ahead. Is that is a deep question, but I'm always curious when it comes to U.S. soccer. So the U.S., as you know, now 20 years here, we like to beat our chest and tell ourselves that we're so great at everything, but even though we're not. And one of the things we're not great at is soccer, right? How, we dominate certain sports, and how the outdoor World Cup level, soccer program it doesn't go back to that level where I've never heard of futsal. Are the players better because they just start fundamentally?
It is a deep question, because I have my own theory.
Okay. Or you can just jump right to that.
I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong, but it's my theory. So I would like to believe there's the best one in the world, right? Because it's my theory. Yeah. So kids, when they start playing in Brazil, they start playing futsal, right? But it's not only that they go to play futsal. Futsal is implemented in school as well, right? Okay. So same as football is in here, basketball, they have in school, is implemented in school. So you always have, every school in Brazil, majority of the school in Brazil, have a futsal court, right? So then kids are growing up. When they're growing up, they grow up playing futsal. And they don't keep changing the rule to adapt to the youth, right? The youth will learn how to play the rule to make themselves better. Here in the United States, I've seen outdoor soccer that they adapt the rule just to make it a little bit easier. But the players need to play. No, the players need to play.
Yeah, you're learning mistakes.
Exactly.
That's what you're doing if you're not playing offsides and everything else.
Correct.
For sure.
Oh, you cannot, there is what was it? My son was 10 years old, and there was this offside rule, that the offside line that the kids could not get inside of it. So the goalkeeper could pass the ball to the defender. And I'm like, yeah, but what are you teaching them?
Yep.
When they get older,
to not be aggressive, to just stand there and watch the ball.
Right. Yeah. My job as a coach is, one, to train my kids how to get out of situations like that. Right. Yeah. And create maybe some strategy to how to come out. So I think it's good for everybody, right? So that's how it is in Brazil. You play a lot of futsal. So then, when you're on the street as well, you're playing street soccer, right? There's not a lot of play on the street in here, but there's a lot of parks with a lot of great outdoor fields that some kids don't take advantage of it. You have another problem in the United States, not a problem, but you have a lot of sports in here.
Yeah.
Right? You have football, baseball, we don't have football and baseball. We have everything else. Yeah. Hockey, we don't have all those sports. Sports that are big in Brazil is soccer, futsal, volleyball, basketball. Okay. Those four, it's a big sport, and swimming. So it's big sports. So you're still competing with a lot of sports, but not as many as here, right? Especially when football, baseball, basketball are your main sports of the country. So, kids tend to gravitate towards to those sports, right? Yeah. So there's another
mainstream
not
media.
Issue, but once you getting older, I believe that older, I'm saying 11, 12, 13 years old, right? You end up playing only outdoor. Again, now you're not using futsal. United States don't utilize futsal as much. Even though, again, we are here in Central New York, in Chicago, a summer last year in Wisconsin and in Illinois was last Wednesday. It was one day. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And everything else is winter. So you should play more futsal. You should play more indoor soccer. You should play more hockey, right? Because it's cold out.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know. I'm Brazilian, so everything from me is cold. But it's cold out. So you have all those issues, but the kids don't play to that age futsal. They should play more to develop their technical ability, their tactical ability. Again, their coordination, their ability of run off the ball not only be focusing on what you do when you have the ball, all the cognitive work that futsal provide. We are depriving the kids in the United States of having that. Now, when they are 12, 13 years old, what they do? They play outdoor, 11v11.
Yep.
Right? Is it good? Yeah, it's good. I love outdoor soccer as well. I played, I coached, I love it. However, when you're 12 years old, 13 years old, and you play 11v11, how many times are you going to touch the ball?
You can hide.
Yeah, exactly.
You can hide.
Yeah.
Right? You're going to touch the ball, I don't know, maybe 15 times a game. I don't know. Well, futsal, because of the rule that the goalkeeper has, right? You would be touching the ball 25% of the time, at least. Right? The rosters are smaller because it's only 5v5. So you can get an outdoor soccer team split in two and play futsal. So that should be implemented in a outdoor soccer team, right? Then you go. I'm sorry, it's a long answer. Right?
No, that's okay.
And I end up being passionate for it, right? So then you don't have the personnel to teach futsal in the United States. There's not a lot of people that know the game, nor the clubs try to give some incentives for those coaches to learn so they can do futsal in their clubs, right? So then what happened is there is so many outside programs, for futsal. Some Brazilians, some people from Spain, whatever the case may be, right? But then the clubs for youth soccer, they put a fence around their players because they don't want to lose their players. So if I let them go to these clubs, well, Coach Johnny, he is a coach of another club. He's going to steal my players, so I'm going to not promote, you know what I'm saying? So now there's a little battle between futsal and outdoor. That's another issue. Now, growing to college, that's the biggest issue for me. I'm not saying that I don't like college soccer whatsoever. Right? I just would like to highlight that.
Preface that.
You're right. But again, in South America, right? So I grew up playing futsal. I went to outdoor soccer. And when I was 18, 19 years old, I became professional, right? But I went to college. But instead, a full ride on college because we did not have the NCAA the way how it is in here, like big, and everything, like a huge sport and everything. Our college system for leagues in there is not as big. My team paid my college, right? So I played professional when I was 19, and I was in college. I played some leagues in college. My team said, okay, it's fine, because they gave me some sort of a discount, a scholarship to play for them, which was, 20%, 30%, whatever the case may be. But my team paid. So instead playing just the season, which is 4 months, 5 months, I played all year round. Everywhere in the world do that.
Yeah.
Except for the United States. Gotcha. So when you see on a youth level, even in a high quality player, high performance player on a youth level going up and up and up and up and up and up, when they get to college, they play 5 months.
Yeah.
And then they either get stagnant in there or they drop down a little bit, which everywhere in the world, when they get to professional, they keep playing. The qualities continue to rise.
Yeah.
And then you can see a huge gap. If you get a youth soccer, youth futsal, whatever the case may be, by 15, 16, let's say 16, 15, 16, 17-year-old, and you take overseas for a tournament, they will do extremely well because they keep playing. Now, when you go to professional, it's going to be a battle, right? No matter if it's futsal, outdoor soccer, indoor soccer, it doesn't matter because unfortunately, the college, they don't allow the players to. There is no league they're going to be all year round like professional.
Right.
That's why. Yeah. Sorry, is a deep answer.
No, it makes a lot of sense, and I never thought of that.
Yeah.
Because like our youth kids, a lot of our kids are playing soccer year round now. When we were younger, that wasn't so much that you specialized in a sport and you played year round. Whereas now we're seeing kids playing year round, but once they get to college, then you're right. I never thought of that.
I mean, again, this is my theory. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. That's what I believe.
It's yours. It's the best.
Right?
You're
exactly.
The
If it's mine, exactly.
So let's talk about your professional career here in the United States. You played for the Milwaukee Wave, helping the club win 3 championships, correct?
That's correct.
And then you made the transition from player to coach.
Yes.
Why don't you talk about that?
Yeah, so I played, after I left San Diego, I went to Milwaukee in mid-season, which was great. That was the first championship in there, and that was awesome. I stayed one more season with Milwaukee. Then I left. I went to Detroit for 2 years, Philadelphia for a year, and I ended up going back to Milwaukee. I loved the organization, the city. My ex-wife was from Milwaukee, which helped us because we want to go back and build a family. And we went back to Milwaukee, and then I won 2 more. Then after a while, I left and I went to Chicago, Cedar Rapids, and I became a head coach player, which was great. I don't advise. It's tough, It depends on the player personality, right? I was always a player that I was very creative, but then you have to stop being so creative because now you have a system. You have to be, you have to be an example, So it's tough, it's tough. So then I was head coach player for Cedar Rapids, and then I went to St. Louis, 3 years head coach player until I retired. And as a player, and just became a coach, which it was way easier,
to not have that double role,
to
right?
not have the double role. Yeah, it was better that way. And a triple in St. Louis because I was also, with a GM, which the owner actually at the time helped me with the GM role, but I was head coach, GM, and player, which was a lot.
Yeah.
Right? And then I took a sabbatical year, left St. Louis, stayed 1 year there. I dedicated myself more for futsal at the time. I have my academy, it was good. And then Tommy Tanner and the old coach here in Utica, Ryan Hall, they called me to unretire as a player and come play. And I was like, dude, that is so many injuries along this. That is and I'm old. I'm not doing that.
At the time, you were 42.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't. The least thing I wanted is run. Right. I didn't want to run at all. My sports, golfing.
My daughter's having that issue lately. No, I'm just kidding.
My sport is golfing and watch TV. That's a great sport. And go to the gym. That's it. Let's go for a run. No. So they tried. I was like, all right, look, I will come back, but on a game basis, if you guys need. So after so long that you haven't played and you go from 0 to 100, no matter how I work out every day, but no matter how much you work out, it's not competitive, right? I played 3 games, got hurt, pulled hamstring, normal. And I stayed for 2 more games. One, I was banged up, I play a little. And then I told them listen, man, I can't do this, So I stopped. And then the following season, they called me if I would like to come back to Utica as a head coach. So, Rob Ash and Tommy called me. We had a meeting on the phone for an hour. I had a couple other offers on the table from other teams. And what they did was actually very, very professional because I had presentations from other teams on the table to go coach because I want to go back and I just want to take 1 year sabbatical. That's all. And they actually flew me here instead to give a presentation. It's I'm going to fly you to Utica. I was like, all right. So then Rob and Tommy showed me the city, what the organization was about, the arena, the Nexus they were building at the time, all the projects that and everything starts to line up of what I envisioned for myself. Yeah. And I was like, dude, that's what I want to. So for me, it was the smartest approach that any team ever took, which was to fly me here to show what they are about. And that was great. And, I'm here.
We're the exact opposite of you. We were born and raised here. We went away for a little bit.
Yeah, we did.
Nothing to the scale that you've traveled the globe, really. And so it's really neat to hear a story about how you were flown to Utica and, hear someone who was born and raised in Brazil, spent time in San Diego, even Milwaukee has its perks, right? Chicago and all over. And you were excited to come to Utica.
Oh, yeah.
Which is really neat because, this used to be what people would refer to as the armpit of New York, all these things growing up. But it's kind of cool to see it all coming together. So yeah, talk about the fans, right? So this is something that when we first heard indoor soccer's coming, right? We had never seen a professional game, and then we went to our first
to the Copa.
game.
We've been to an outdoor game, but we've never been yet.
But so when the first game in Utica, we went and we were like, holy, this is exciting, right?
Awesome.
Now we had been Utica Comet season ticket holders, and hockey's great. And we thought that was fast. but there's not a lot of scoring, right? And sometimes it can get a little boring. But you guys score. It's fast. The rules are different, and you've played all over. How much different is the facility and the fan base and the excitement of the crowd here?
Well, first, yes, like indoor soccer, it's a version of hockey that you play on the turf. It's a great description. Like it's physical, it's fast, it's a high score, right? Obviously, because the goal it's bigger. The ball is never out. It's a very, very, very exciting game. I did not know the game when I came to the United States. And my goal when I came was to play 1-2 seasons and go MLS or go back to Brazil. And I had actually offers to go back to Brazil, and I said no, I want to stay because I fell in love with the game.
Okay.
Right. I've been in many, many, many arenas in the United States, and I can assure that there is no arena that is louder than our arena here.
For sure.
It's unreal. And I'm saying it's unreal as a coach speaking, because timeouts, I get lightheaded sometimes because I try to speak so loud and I stumble back to the bench because they can hear me. For them, probably is a great thing, right? Yeah. For me, it's not. But I have to sometimes, like multiple times, I have to wait if there is a music going on and they're singing. I have to literally wait so they can listen to me. Mm-hmm. It's beautiful though. And people always going to say that the crowd will push the team, right? But people don't know how much. And I'm telling you, like we score few goals, I can't recall how many, that we have to put 6 attacking in order to tie a game and go into overtime. And because the arena was absolutely nuts, we were able to push and do it.
Yeah.
Like the supporters is insane. Like it's a loud arena. It's always happening. I haven't remember. There was one game that was not particularly good. We played against St. Louis, my old team in here. And they were just sitting on the back, like waiting for us so that I can come and account. It was a boring game. But that's the only game that I can recall that was a boring game. And I think the crowd probably felt the same way. But that is not a boring game whatsoever for indoor soccer. And we get fed off their energy as well. So the arena, it's packed every single game for us. That's amazing. It's great because players also love to go to the hockey game. We go. Yeah. It's similar but different atmosphere in terms of how many people in there and allowed. And because our beer garden and everything, people are on top of players, it's amazing though. It's amazing atmosphere. I never experienced an arena like that in the United States.
Yeah.
And I've got to say, you guys, your team in the youth is just awesome. Like so many of these youth soccer players, ASO organizations and everything, they so look up to these players. And I remember, my God, it must have been 4 or 5 years ago, our son Connor had a game in Westmoreland, Rising Stars. And do you remember they were having a practice?
Yeah, it was just a couple of years ago.
It was a couple of years ago. UCFC team was having a practice and all these boys were like, I can't believe they're here. And they stopped their practice and took pictures with all of our boys. Or like if you score a goal, like your players will come over and they'll, because there's no like glass, like you said with hockey, you so bring in the fans that it's just awesome.
The players like, and that's, in Utica, the way how I try to build a team is a team with character as well, right? I'm not trying to just bring players that's going to be a diva in here and it's all about themselves. And we're trying to build a team that they are great on and off the field. Because awesome. The support for the community for the communities it's big. We have to give it back. It sounds cliche because everybody say the same, but the players are very accessible. The amount of players that goes to school to read books, to go and sometimes soccer practice and just talk to players. Like it's very accessible. Like players after game come to give high five to the kids.
They sign jerseys. It's just awesome.
Again, no matter the results, sometimes you lose a game. Players are pissed. But you see a smile on some kid's face. Just it's contagious and kind of like it calms the player down a little as well. All right. So that accessibility that we have, I think is great. It's different than a lot of sports.
Yeah, it really is.
As well. So, we try to just build a team with character, team of players that will be supporting the community as well because the community support us.
Your English is amazing.
Yep.
And I noticed that you jotted down here that you learned English by watching Friends. So you mentioned not the show Friends, but your Friends.
The show Friends.
Oh, is that for real?
Yeah, that's for real. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
When I read that as Friends, I was like,
no, the show Friends. Yeah.
All right. Well, that makes for an even better story. So go ahead and share that.
So I come to the United States. I spoke zero English. It was couldn't say hi. 2004, so you don't have the luxury. I have the phone that you speak on the phone and someone listens to you. So the little book, And in San Diego, I live. First of all, in San Diego, you don't need to speak English.
Well, that's true, yeah.
The Brazilian community there is huge.
Yeah.
I didn't speak so much of Spanish at the time, but I tried to eliminate Brazilian friends if I want to be in a country, right? Mm-hmm. And I was hanging out with American and Spanish-speaking people so I can learn both language, right? So I used to go to the hotel and tell the receptionist, I go on a book. I was like, hey, if anybody call me, I'm at the computer room. But to learn this, it was stupid. It was hard, right? So I have to memorize and tell the lady. And it was funny. So at the time, it was the MSN camera, that you talk to my parents, and stuff like that. And then I go back to my room and I watch Friends. I used to love the show. I mean, I still love the show. But I used to love the show. So I watch Friends probably the whole season, all the seasons in Brazil. So I somewhat knew what they were saying, right? Because in Brazil, Friends, it was with subtitles.
Okay.
So somewhat I was familiar with the English sound speaking, and they teach English in Brazil. Mm-hmm. But it's the same as Spanish in here.
Right.
You learn, but you don't.
Bits and pieces.
Right? You learn the verb here and there.
It's not conversational. It's more exactly
correct. Words mean.
Correct. So and also when I was in Brazil, I was so focusing on soccer that there is English class. You don't care so much. And I'm not going to go there anyway. I'm going to be here. Who cares? So I
it's
never.
Not like I'm going to end up in Milwaukee.
Exactly. Oh yeah. Let me learn English because I'm going to be in Milwaukee in 2004. You know what I'm saying? I did not know. So I was at the time in I lived in a hotel and we had TiVo, right? Mm-hmm. So I used to record Friends. And then I watched with subtitles, obviously, English in English. And I tried to, get the word and read what he's saying. So I did that all night. I didn't have anything to do. I had practice in the morning. I didn't have to cook. I was living in a hotel. It was like this hotel that had breakfast and dinner for us. So I don't have to worry about anything. It was practice, workout, watching Friends and learning. And then I put in my head that every day I need to learn 3 different words, every day. So I was every day learning 3 different words and watching Friends and all that stuff. I ended up learning somewhat of English. Obviously, I, had some friends and then I had a girlfriend. That was actually good English as well because I had a girlfriend in San Diego. Then we broke up. I had a girlfriend in Milwaukee. So I was like level 1, then level 2. So I started speaking better. Then I met my ex-wife, level 3. Right? And that's when...
That's probably like 3 through 10.
Exactly. That's when you really start to learning, and then my English started to get better. In 2000, I think it was 2010, I became director of coaching in a club in Wisconsin, in Milwaukee. And then he helped me on my writing, and how to write, and my ex-wife also, she's a very good writer. And what she helped was like when I sent an email, instead, she corrects my email, I send to her, she corrects it back to me, and then I read.
And that teaches
and then I send. Yeah. So then after a while, I don't need it anymore. So that helped me with my emails and everything. So my position as a director helped me to be more professional with my English. But I never took a class. Like it was never a class.
That's awesome. That's such a great story.
Yeah.
That's really impressive. Yeah.
Many times I dropped the ball, right, Jay? On the notes. On the notes, I'm like, you learn from Friends. I'm like, but it's capitalized, the F. And I'm like, well, it's not Friends. A lot of times I write the notes
and I'm like,
I did that on purpose, though. I did that on purpose. Yes. No, but it's I know that my English is still not the greatest, perfect or anything like that, but at least I can communicate, and that was my goal.
Way better than our Spanish. That's for sure.
So let's talk about your other job, being a father. You have 2 kids.
Yes.
You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, no, it's great. It's with my ex-wife. We got divorced about 11 years ago. We don't co-parent, we parallel parent, right? I do my thing, she does her thing. When you have understanding of what each other do. My son, Gabriel, he's 13, going to be 14 now in November. Mm-hmm. My daughter, Isabella, she's 12. They're as hyper as I am. Probably the ADHD, just like me. My son, I starting to see some of the OCD part, like me as well. Mm-hmm. My daughter, not so much. But, it's great. Like my daughter plays volleyball now. My son plays basketball. My daughter never really liked soccer, never really liked soccer, which is funny because, like her father, that's what he does. My son played soccer until he was 10 years old, but he has bad allergies. I think that pushed him away a little. I'm talking about his eyes got really puffed up, his nose and everything. So, and he was good. And he ended up, but he's athletic. So he ended up, gravitated towards basketball, which is fantastic too. I love sports. It's funny because my daughter playing volleyball, that's what my dad did. My dad he played volleyball. I grew up in a volleyball house, right? So now watching my daughter playing volleyball and sending the videos to my dad, he loves that, But yeah, my kids are everything for me. Yeah.
How difficult is it being away and missing certain things?
Technology help.
Yeah.
When I start coaching in St. Louis, I was able to, which it's crazy, but I was able to get my assistant coach to lead practice, the first practice of the week. Coincidentally, we had a lot of games on Saturday or Sunday, which gave the flexibility of give a day off and then my assistant coach go and take over for one day. So I was back and forth in Milwaukee, which 5 hours, So after the game, I go straight. And then I stayed 2 days with my kids, then come back. So it was good because it was the age that they need me the most. Yeah. Now, during 7 months, I'm with them, twice a week, every other weekend. We quite don't have schedule per se, my ex-wife and I, according to court anymore. We kind of do our thing, which is great because, it's flexibility for both of us.
Right.
And it helps the kids as well. But then for 5 months, they're here normally, except for this season, which I'm very angry about it. We don't play in Milwaukee. We play against Milwaukee in here, but we don't play there. But every time that during the season play against Milwaukee, the kids stay with me, so that helps. But other than that, we got this tablet, this Facebook call, whatever, I forgot the name. My ex-wife have one, I have one, and every day we speak through that. So it helps, to not to miss as much, but you're still missing out a lot, which is hard. But they understand that they love what I do as well. They get excited, so they watch on TV. So it's great.
Nice. You are self-described as animated, focused on details as a coach. You talk about creating the team's identity. So what is this year's team's identity?
I don't think it's any different than what it has been. Since I came here, the focus was to get a good core of players, because the way how I analyzed prior to come here at the meeting with Rob and Tommy was that we needed at that moment to renew the personnel, because the players were getting a little bit older, and you need to and I love projects as well. Right, I love to get a young, talented player.
You get to build it.
To build, try to push them to be somewhat the way how you'd like them to be, because you trust and believe them, and I like that. Mm-hmm. So the first year was like, okay, I'm not gonna have so many veterans, which was very difficult for the veterans to. Every time that you go somewhere and you are changing something, it's not difficult for you. You're the one that's changing. It's difficult for whoever has to change. Yep. And it was difficult for them at first. But then I kept a few veterans and a lot of young players. So it was important for me to create an identity, but also to create a culture in the organization, right? What is acceptable, what is not acceptable, and non-negotiable whatsoever, right? So, that's with the players. I know that we talk about accountability, and everywhere in the world, but look, players got to be accountable for themselves and they got to keep themselves accountable. I don't need to do that. Mm-hmm. I can release them. Mm-hmm. I don't need accountability. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You do your job. You don't do your job, you're out. I joke with that, but I say which not as cold I'm going to say, but, I can see my players as a bottle of Coke, right? If it's cold and carbonated, I'll drink. If it's flat and warm, I throw away and I buy a new one. I'm sorry, it's a professional sport, right?
Yeah.
Do your job.
That's correct.
Exactly.
It's a high performance sport, right?
Yeah.
You're there being paid to perform your sport. So you need the culture to say, okay, we're here, we're not messing around. That's what we do, along with the years, it can be a revolving door, but you're gonna be the same organization, right? So we were able to establish the core that we want in the first season, which was not the plan completely, right? Because the plan was to establish the core and do well. The playoffs wasn't so much focused at the time. The second season, we were supposed, okay, now we have to go to playoffs. And the third season, we have to fight through playoffs to go championship, right? They're going to win championship? I don't know. It's so hard to predict, right? You can buy championship. I think the Yankees trying to do that every year.
And it doesn't work.
It doesn't work. You can dump as much money as you want. Not going to work, right? It's a lot of things involved. So creating identity and core was important. We did that. And we went to playoffs. We went to the first year, we went to the second round of playoffs. Then last year, we went to playoffs again. So you start to have some sort of consistency, throughout your team. And now is the third year coming. Now they actually, the first year they were learning about me and what I want. Second year, they were developing well of what I want. Now they got it.
Yeah.
So now it's going to be completely different. I envision that. I think 80% of the team is the same team that we have. We changed some players here and there. There's always free agency. Some players leave, some players stay. I would love to keep players, but I'm not a big person that's going to keep someone here if you're not happy. If you aren't happy, get out, and you're not going to fight for us, right? I will find another talent and I'll replace you. You're maybe not going to be the same, but everybody's replaceable, including myself. So, I believe on having people working with you, not for me. I don't believe that, you play for me. No, listen. If the boats go down, everybody's going, including myself, right? So we're here together. So you're playing with me, you're working with me. And if you don't have that mindset, then that's not the home for you.
So is this the championship year?
I would like to say yes. I hope so. Yeah.
That's the goal, right?
That's the goal.
Okay.
That's the goal. I'm very competitive. And again, my practice and to get players to come here is not easy. Sometimes the way how we play, it's exciting. Like every team that I coach, I'm not trying to tap myself in the back and say, oh my God, I'm the best coach. That's not even my goal. My goal is to have the players at the same page. That's it. I'm not trying to be the best coach. I'm just trying to win, right? But sometimes throughout the league, people think that, it's nice to play for Hewerton, right? No, it's not. I practice a lot. My practice are long. My practice are intense. I hate days off. Okay, come on. What am I gonna do? My kids are Wisconsin. I don't want a day off. I want to work.
And I love this.
And you're getting rid of your flat soda. So
that's right. Exactly. So so I hope everybody has the same mindset because I want to win a champ. I have 3 as a player, not as a coach, and I want to get as a coach.
It's too funny. I pulled this from a previous interview. It's a quote by you. I'm vocal and animated. I can't be quiet. I have to help the team. Information needs to be passed in certain ways for them to understand. It's not yelling. I like that you wrote that. That doesn't help anybody. Communicating helps people. I don't believe in being quiet. Yeah. So I'm sure it's quite not entertaining, but I can't wait to go to a game this year for sure.
Yeah. And season starts mid-December.
Home opener, December 29th.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. 3 p.m. at the Odd.
Yeah.
And then we have the New Year's Eve game as well, the traditional one.
It is an experience. It truly, for those that haven't been there, I don't know why not. You need to get there. And it is. It's electric. It's different. It's not the soccer that a lot of people, frankly, from this area, the grandparents who go watch their kids play ASO and fall asleep on the side. It's fast, it's intense. You guys have fights? You have fights on during practice? I mean, it does it get really intense every once in a while?
It happens. It gets intense. Yeah. But again, my practice is very competitive.
Yeah.
Right. And again, I'm always speaking loud, not yelling. I'm always speaking loud, so they can hear me.
But it's practice for you too, because the crowd's loud. You got to be loud.
That's right. I practice my vocal cord. Yes. So that is, it's intense every once in a while. And I tell the players, like, listen, man, I don't care, how intense you get. But the moment that you're dirty, then you two are not going to have a problem. You're going to have a problem with me. Mm-hmm. I just don't want anybody dirty on a team that's trying to hurt the team, because you're sabotaging the team. Sure. Yep. But through the league, there is not a lot of fights. That was like back in the days, like it was a little more physical. The referees used to let the game play a little bit more. So that was a little bit of fight. I always said to the league, I was like, listen, just let us fight for 10 seconds. We will be on ESPN like this, this is like lacrosse, like you can, right?
Yeah, lacrosse,
just
hockey.
let us fight for, no, but it's, there's some fights sometimes, but that's it.
We end all of these with our rapid fire 5 questions. We try to make these quick and easy for you. Sometimes we succeed, sometimes we don't. Right. You tell me. So if you weren't coaching soccer, what career would you choose?
With sports science.
Okay.
Indoor or outdoor soccer? What's more exciting to coach?
Indoor.
For sure.
All right. So I was doing some, I stalked you a little bit on YouTube, and you've got the bicycle kick down as a player. Pretty impressive, right? So how many career bicycle kick goals? Ballpark.
I don't know, but important ones, I can tell. Important one was played the club CONCACAF, the Central America for clubs representing United States, and I scored a bicycle in a final. We lost the final, but it was a pretty sick goal. It was great. Yeah.
We had a kid on our son's soccer team try one the other night.
Tried it the other night. It was impressive.
So excited. Yeah. Kudos for him for trying it.
You did it better, but he's young.
gotta practice, and it's something that you actually don't practice, right? It just happened. I played a lot of beach volleyball. It's called foot volley, which is like it's kind of like a soccer and volleyball together. And there's a lot of bicycles and everything. And I played beach soccer as well. So you don't practice as much as instant happen, but you can always practice to be better. Yeah.
What's one word your players would use to describe you?
I don't know if I can say that. They're going to say intensity, because I always say that. Intensity. Yeah.
All right. We love to eat in Utica. You mentioned that you live above a restaurant or near a few restaurants. Do you have a favorite restaurant?
I have few.
Okay.
Babes, Taylor and the Cook, and Bag Square.
Okay. The brewing company.
Yeah.
So good spot.
For a reason, yeah. I mean, there's some great beer in there.
Coach Hewerton Moreira. I feel good saying that, Moreira.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm good.
You're doing good. Yes,
I'm gonna watch Friends. I'm going to watch Friends and switch the language. Yes. I'm going to go the other way and learn your language. Utica City Football Club, we're so excited to have you. We're excited about the season, and we thank you for coming in and spending some time with us.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. Just a quick reminder as well. Like I said, like our organization, Utica City FC and the Utica Comets, we're excited for the season coming up. And just a quick reminder that Utica Comets is starting tomorrow. Right?
Yeah.
Tomorrow
that's on our docket to focus on this weekend.
That's wild.
7 p.m. tomorrow already.
Yeah.
I know, like, people say it's, oh my God, it's coming so quick. No, for us, it's been dragging for so long. Yeah. We can't wait. So I'm excited. I'll be in a game tomorrow, and I'll be in a game on Saturday as well. Again, I try sometimes to watch hockey and see what I can do for indoor soccer. I mean, it's a similar game, you know. So, if fans for Utica City FC that don't normally come to the Comets, which that is some people, come and take a look. It's very similar. It's an awesome game to watch.
Can you ice skate?
I can ice skate. I cannot do both.
Meaning?
Like a hockey ice skate.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's hard. I'm with you with that.
I can. It's funny because
I was like, both as in like skate and soccer.
And then I lose the focus, and then I can't. Exactly. I can't do it.
It's funny because a lot of guys from the office, once a week, they get together and they play. Mm-hmm. Like just a pickup game, and they keep saying, like, "Hey, come and play with us." Like, dude, I don't want that.
Yeah, you come play with me. Exactly. When we put the turf down, you come play with me.
I can stand in there with you guys. Pretend, take pictures. That's it. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Coach.
No, thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Love Living Local. As you know, we do not run ads. Our only mission is to shine a spotlight on amazing people doing amazing things here in our local community. If you'd like to support us with this mission, we have 3 ways you can help. You can share our content on social, subscribe or follow the show on your favorite podcast platform, and you can visit our lovelivinglocals315.com website to stay up to date with everything happening in Central New York.